Hi everyone, this is Dylan. Welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little bit different, but I am feeling a little under the weather today. But I'm going to try to do some doll reviews and maybe some things around the house, and hopefully that'll help me feeling better. Hopefully not COVID or flu, but we will just see. I'm quarantined with my dolls, so in this video I'm taking a look at the Disney live-action Snow White doll, which was just released by Mattel this March, and this is in preparation for the release of the live-action Snow White that is coming out next weekend on March 21st. This movie has been delayed a long time, and it's crazy that we are finally getting merchandise for this movie. So I do appreciate Snow White. Snow White is one of my favorite characters, and I do understand that there is lots of concern for changing Snow White's story and the way that things are presented in the film. But I'm generally excited just to see what they have brought us and the different elements and the touches of the story. I also love Broadway musicals. I also love big musical movies, of course. So I think I am on board for it being a whole new musical type of setting and more of like a Broadway musical approach. So I'm looking forward to that. So, but of course I understand everybody has their own opinion on Snow White just because she's such an iconic character. And my goodness, you know, she's been around forever. That how do you adapt something like this? It's very hard. So, but what I will say is that this doll is very, very nice, and I am very surprised given this is such higher quality, given that The Little Mermaid didn't get this type of treatment 2 years ago. So let's jump right in. I'm going to take a look at the box, and I am going to take a look at the artwork on the packaging at the end of the video. So first I'm going to look at the doll in the box. The background is gorgeous. I'm not sure where this is or if we'll see this in the film, but it looks like a lovely forest meadow. There's like purple flowers, like it's just really pretty. And I love that the floral up in the trees, like there's bushes with flowers, you know, maybe this is where she's picking flowers with the huntsman, you know, that scene. There's 2 bluebirds that are included. So there's one here, it's got molded wings and it's got like little eyes and a beak, and I believe it could perch on her finger. This one is there. I have seen some of the promotional artwork, like it can perch on her cape. You know, I'm not sure how true that is, but or if that was just given for the promo artwork. And the other accessory that she has is an apple. So it's red, it's got like a little stem, and you see like a little hooky-doo there. That way she can hold it on her finger. So Snow White's face here, I think, is represented very well of Rachel Zegler. I do think this has done better than the limited edition 17-inch doll. So if Disney had taken this and maybe blown it up and Disneyfied it a little bit, this would have made a grand limited edition doll sculpt for Rachel. So Snow White's bob has been another matter of just how people are rating what the movie looks like in the costume design. I do think this doll makes it look lovely, given that it has a lot of gel and a lot of paste holding it down. It definitely feels hard. Yep. So if you were to wash it and everything, I don't know what it would look like. I mean, but it is certainly a classic kind of 30s bob, and she's got that lovely red bow that's really cute. And like I said, you know, if Disney would have blown up this face for Rachel, that probably would have worked a lot better. You know, the limited edition dolls, I think they try to infuse them a little bit with animation in the face sculpts. So, yes, it's just interesting. We'll have to see. So around her neck, she has a little necklace, and it has a little locket on it. And we've learned from the trailers that that has her father's wisdom that he's written on it. Fearless, fair, brave, and true, I think. And it's very similar to what live-action Mulan had. And then, of course, live-action Cinderella had the have courage and be kind. So that's kind of this, it's like this film's mantra, and I believe we'll see what that necklace represents in the film. So, and that's tied around her neck with a little silver string. But the top of this dress is gorgeous. So look at the piping around the collar. The collar is very high, very nice, and then there is a lace kind of front with strings, and all of the fabrics here have patterns in them. So the light blue has pattern in it, and then the darker blue has pattern in it. There's stitching around the sleeves, and inside of that there's the red poof. So I do like how they can represent different 16th century poof sleeves, just because seeing Snow White in the parks, and we've had so many different dolls of her. Oh my goodness, I think Snow White has the most limited edition dolls that you just see all these different types of puff sleeves, and I do think that makes a difference. That's very lovely. And then this Snow White has long sleeves, and they have little red ties on the end, very again, fairy tale book fashion. And I do like kind of that pattern inside of the fabric. So very lovely. Oh, and a little bit of lace up there too. So how lovely. I mean, I really enjoy that. So another matter of contention is the color scheme for this dress. I do agree that this should be more like the 1930s color scheme with a lighter blue and a less saturated yellow. But I'm wondering what this will look like on screen and what this will look like in the theater when I'm seeing it. And I think that's when I want to make my final call on the skirt. But for the doll, I think that the doll looks great. I do think Snow would have worn maybe a little more of a goldish yellow or a less saturated yellow. But within the skirt, there is like a lovely script kind of detail, and that is printed, looks lovely. There are 2 layers to it. So there's the sheer layer, and then there's the layer with the pattern. And it's like a royal kind of scripty. Oh, and there's a 3rd layer too, I think. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a yellow layer, then there's the printed layer, then the sheer layer. So that's very nice, like to have 3 layers on a Mattel doll skirt is lovely. So, but yes, I'm gonna call my final judgment once I see it in action. But I do like that script kind of detail. Also, she's got like a little belt buckle. So, and I did read that the blue panels that you're seeing in the trailer, she loses those like in the forest. So I'm wondering if she loses her bow in the forest. And I guess that's more realistic that she would lose pieces of her clothing if she's really going that deep in the woods and she's that scared and she's like getting lost, you know, like that can happen. And the red cape is lovely. I don't know how that is attached in the back, but I'm not 100% sure, but that's very nice. So, and it also has a hem on it, so it's not just like a flailing piece of fabric. Hiding behind her here is the doll stand. So here's the base, and then over there's the stand. And her shoes are red kind of Judy Garland slippers with bows. So I know. And they're very nice. Also, the ones on the 17-inch limited edition doll were not as strong as those. So I think Mattel, if you could blow up those shoes for Disney, that would be great. So the back of the box says Disney Collector Snow White. And then here is the description in a couple languages. So I'm not gonna read that to you, but you know, it kind of describes what's going to be happening in the film. And I really do like the fact that Snow White is going to be standing up for her kingdom, because it was always her father's realm, and then of course the queen stepped in and kind of took over that realm. So I really think she would feel that she could get that back. You know, I really think that she could stand up to that, but I want to see how that's portrayed in the film. And of course, in the 37 film, you know, the prince didn't have much of a role, but I'm excited to see what Jonathan brings. So here is the front of Snow White's box. It's like a slipcover. And of course, whenever you pull this off, you would see the doll. And this is the first thing that you would grab, you know, whenever you get this doll in the mail. And it has this beautiful like image on the front of like all these vines. It has an apple kind of surrounded by some misty magic, you know. And we have lovely bits of the forest, kind of spooky, not gonna lie. Which I totally get, because Snow White is kind of a morbid tale at times, a little spooky. So it says Disney Snow White, it has the film logo there, and that's cool. Also on the inside of it, there's this cool pattern. It's like red and like blue, got like flowers. It's really pretty. I don't know what that's from, but it might just be from some of the promotional artwork that they've made for this film. But yeah, so very exciting to see kind of where this is coming from, or maybe it's just based on Snow White's color palette or something, but yeah. All right, everyone. Well, that's everything here with the Snow White live action doll from Mattel. And I will be getting more Snow White items in my collection just because I am a Snow White completist. I love Snow White. So please let me know what you think of her. And of course, let me know if you're going to buy this doll and what do you think about the movie, the changes. Of course, let me know what you think of the outfit, the hair. You know, it's a lot to process. So, all right, everyone, stay safe and see you next time. Bye bye.